My pump up. Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to this Soul and Social. Today is going to be a super fun day. My name is Tarah, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Renee, and we are joined by a fearless Rosalyn Fung. I'm super excited to have you here, girl. Hello, welcome.
Happy to be here. Thank you, love.
So I'm just going to talk about Rosalyn here for just a second, and then we're going to dive into this because we've got some pretty cool stuff to talk about today. Rosalyn Fung is an abundance warrior. She's a self-love and life and business coach for heart-driven entrepreneurs and leaders who want to play a bigger game. She's also a speaker, workshop and mastermind facilitator, and international best-selling author. She's passionate about helping you get out of the way of your own so you can create your dream success in a fun, bold, and sexy way. Having a former background as a registered psychologist for 11 years, a second-degree black belt in karate, whoa, a certified Homani practitioner, Reiki master, Rosalyn brings the power of psychology, neuroscience, spirituality, business strategies, and systems into her life and business coaching to empower you to develop habits to unapologetically bring your boldest self to up-level your life and business. Welcome, girl.
Love it.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. We're going to have some fun.
We are. Awesome. So I have actually spoken at an event with you, Rosalyn. We had both spoken at the YG Women's event. I think it was almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
And your energy is just incredible, I have to say. You give an amazing message, and Tarah and I both wanted to have you on to kind of talk about that. So maybe you could give us a little bit about what you do and what kind of, actually, tell us how you got here. I want to hear how you got here. I want your story.
Okay. Gosh. Well, I'll start by, how far do you want me to go back?
Hi, Jess.
Whatever
feels called to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Tarah.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks for being on here. Okay, so I'll start with the point where 10 years ago, I was standing on stage at a figure bodybuilding competition. And here I am with my perfect body. And the outside of my life, everything looked perfect. I had an amazing husband, still have him. We had a house, the money, the status. Like I said, I was a black belt and was highly regarded by kids, teens, and adults. Very, very respected. And then also be having the career as in private practice as a psychologist. And on the outside, I looked like I had all my shit together. But I did not feel fulfilled. I felt so empty. And I couldn't understand why, because I had worked so freaking hard to have all of these achievements and awards and that quote unquote success. Mm-hmm. And when I finally arrived, I was like, well, this blows. And so I had a bit of a breakdown afterwards. Which was really the beginning of my awakening to myself and coming home to myself. And how I did that was, as a therapist, I was introduced to a method that I'm certified in now called Haikomi. And Haikomi means, how do I stand in a relationship with myself? And how do I stand in a relationship with others? Because we're always in these relationships when you think about it. And it's the psychology, neuroscience, spirituality approach where you're able to just really tap in experientially on a subconscious level. And what I learned, because when you're learning something, you cannot not work on yourself, right?
Yeah.
Was that unconsciously, up until this point, I had been operating from this belief that I am valued in my doingness rather than my beingness, and my doingness is never enough.
No.
And so a lot of this was societal, but I also think it was my culture as well. Growing up in a traditional Asian family, my parents are from Hong Kong. I'm first generation Canadian. Yeah. And so a lot of the Asian mentality is instilled. And if anybody's Asian, they're going to get it. It's like, you have to achieve this status.
Yeah.
And that's what success is. And so we don't emphasize who you are or the values that you bring in, your personality, your feelings. Oh, hell, what do we do with feelings? They're ashamed of feelings. So like
down. Yeah.
Healthy, but negative. At the time, I did not know anger was healthy though, right?
Yeah.
And so what I learned was, because up until this point, I'd become a perfectionist, an overachiever, type A personality. And I learned the art of slowing down, embracing perfectly imperfects, and really coming home to myself and embracing, loving myself.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, again, you learn what you need to teach. And because I had actually struggled a lot with food and body image, that was my flavor of not enough. I went through that avenue. So when I have perfect body, I will be happy. I will be enough. I will be worthy. And I realized that didn't bring that it was about embracing who I am. And so I got certified in eating psychology and ran lots of transformational groups for women, and I ran one for men, and I worked a lot with men and women individually.
Yeah.
And in 2014, I joined a group coaching program for speakers to create more impact in the world, because I'm the type of person that gets so inspired by other people's journeys and their results that I went, what else can I do? And this was the first time I was exposed in a bigger way, in a group coaching kind of way, to other coaches and peers. And it helped me start to think outside of the box. And I was like, wow, like the ideas that started blowing up in my mind, getting really creative, incorporating things. Like I was an outside the box thinker, but it really helps me think outside the box even more. And that led me to be the first psychologist in Alberta to create an online program.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, it was a lot of red tape, if anybody knows how strict this license is, and rightly so, given the profession. However, I knew it would be possible because I had met other psychologists in the States who have online programs, and it just hadn't been done here. And I'm like, well, everything's figureoutable. Let's just go for it.
Do it.
And it was awesome. It was awesome that, you know, like people from around the world were buying my programs, but it was also really frustrating because I can only work with people who were I'm licensed in the province. So I couldn't help those people that I was like, oh, I know I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was looking at my coaching peers, and they are creating very similar impacts, and they have that location freedom where they have the time freedom and then financial freedom. So I'm just like, I don't know how that happens, but I feel like, and at that point I was really stuck in my psychologist hat. Like, never think I would, you know, like move over there. I'll just keep playing in this sandbox. And I'm always doing my own work. I believe that is deeply, deeply important that we continue to do our work, especially if you're a coach. Especially if you're a therapist, that you work with people's psyches. You absolutely need to continue doing your own work. And so 3 years ago, I did my own work in a group coaching setting, and I was wanting to work on my own money mindset. And I manifested my accountability buddy, who is a 7-figure award-winning business coach. I was like, what? The universe, this is amazing. So, and at this point I had started becoming more, from my awakening, my spiritual awakening, started to embrace more of the head, the heart, the gut connection. And I just thought, wow, this is incredible. She was there for to work through her own stuff. And, you know, we really grew close in those intense days. And then afterwards I hired her, and she helped me start the side hustle as a coach. And who I attract were women entrepreneurs and leaders who saw me speak, saw me network, and was like, I really love your confidence. Like, I need some of that. I was like, I can help you. And also, like, knowing that I love to have, because I've been in business for so long, and I've been learning about how to create online programs and workshops and groups and things like that. So I'm like, I can help you do all of that stuff. So it's been really fun. Helping other entrepreneurs grow. And I just really feel like that's where the bigger game is for me. If I can help the people who are helping other people, then the ripple effect is greater. And I just know in my soul, in my being, that I'm meant to be a leader for leaders. And personally, I also know I'm a better leader because I also have coaches myself. So I'm a better leader with leaders. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I love what I'm doing today. I'm standing in my dream, working with entrepreneurs. I'm calling in more men this year as well. I'm really excited. One thing that's really exciting is my husband and I, if everyone's been following me on Facebook Live with him, him and I have been doing lots of Facebook Lives, and we want to, he's a financial planner. So because my master's is in marriage and family therapy, we want to help couples have more conscious relationship and communication, starting with money. And
love it.
It's a hard one, right?
Yeah.
It's a really hard one. And so how do we have conscious conversations with our partners in a way that feels peaceful, loving, and eventually joyful? Because it's so possible. It's so possible. But because of all our money beliefs and shame that happen, that we hold, and we aren't aware of it until we are faced and look at it. That we can work through that, and there's another way to talk about money. There's another way to have a relationship with money, and in your own relationship with your partner. So of course that's going to lead to other themes such as intimacy and sex and parenting and in-law issues. Like
that's never an issue.
Right?
It's a little expensive.
Oh yeah,
a little.
I've just got so many exciting things brewing.
That's awesome.
So here I am.
So how, I know one thing, so I'm taking some training right now for myself, and, I'm a little bit like you, Rosalyn, in the way that I think you constantly need to grow and evolve, especially when you're helping other people grow and evolve. And we all have our crap, and just because we're good at helping others doesn't mean we're necessarily perfect at it ourselves.
Yeah.
So the one that I'm taking right now, it was funny because this morning they were talking about coaches and having, finding their value, knowing their value and standing in their value, and how as females, generationally, all the way back to the beginning of time, women have their value has been found from giving without asking. A woman should never, in history, should never ask. So, for women seeing their worth and standing in their power, and which is, it sounds like that's kind of your goal is, how do we get past that programming? And I mean, because it is so, it's in our freaking DNA, man. Like it's so in us.
I love that question. And I think, is Tarah frozen? Because she's
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I know. I'm like, I think I'm frozen. So I guess I just get one look today.
You have a very concerned look on your face.
Okay. You got a sexy look on your face, though, Tarah. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Rawr.
So, the first step is awareness. We cannot change anything until we are aware. And a lot of us live on autopilot. A lot of us have these immediate thoughts that just come in, and then we don't even question those thoughts. We just take it as face value, and we're biased to our own thoughts. And so it's really about having that third eye or that observer hat, and you're being a witness with curiosity. You cannot be curious and judgmental at the same time. So I always, always, always invite people to be curious and watch themselves, observe themselves without judgment, and just go, isn't that an interesting thought I'm having? Because if you think about it, every situation is neutral until you put meaning to it. And how you put meaning to it is based on your belief system. And so once we have awareness, we can then study, where does this belief come from? And this is where it might be helpful to have a trained coach, professional, to support you in understanding your subconscious. So usually before the age of 8, we form our core beliefs. And these beliefs happen because at the very core of us, we want to feel safe and be loved and belong. And so we are always trying to, as young children who live mostly in their unconscious emotional brain. That's back here. Reptilian brain is back here. That's a survival, fight, flight, or freeze brain. That's where we're soaking in all this this messages we get from the world, and oftentimes not our parents or the adults in our life or teenagers, whoever, even our peers, right? It's not their intention to hurt us, but they're projecting stuff onto us. Mm-hmm. And as kids, you don't know that. You're just absorbing. You're a sponge. You're absorbing everything. But we can interpret it as I'm not enough.
Yeah.
And some flavor of that. So then we start to go into these strategies, i.e. behaviors and thought patterns that help us get that approval, help us fit in. So that could look like people pleasing. That could look like staying really quiet and just like not sharing your opinion because they might not like you. You might risk rejection, right? It can look like, what else can it look like? It can look like, well, proving like you're really smart, so you are always achieving, right? And so you get attention. So it can look like all these different ways. It can look like perfectionism eventually.
Yeah.
And so it's about studying where that comes from and then realizing, wow, that helps you survive. I don't look at things as good or bad, unless of course there's harm involved, but it's like, does this continue to serve me, or does this thought and behavior no longer serve me? It's like you create a life jacket when you were young, but wearing it now at this age, it's not going to really fit.
No.
So time to shed that life jacket.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's about embracing a new belief. Mm-hmm. How is it that you want to show up? How is it that you want to think about this? Is there somebody in your life you admire and how they respond to the very same situation? And so you look for role models. You look for people who you really admire and want to be more like. Not be them, but see them as a role model to aspire to.
Yeah.
I love that. That's, when I went to that workshop just a couple of weeks ago, that's a lot of what we were talking about, and a lot of meditation practices that we were doing was replacing that old belief with what we want that new one to look like. And if we haven't experienced it yet, then we create that experience, visually in our imagination first, so that we can feel, and attach that emotion to it. So I absolutely love that, because I dig all this stuff. I keep just like, it's like I do one thing and another, and it's not an achievement thing. It's a curiosity thing. I've worked through that one.
Well, and I think so often we become moms and we take on, we could be very professional and confident in ourselves and our abilities and our knowledge prior to getting married and having children, and be super successful and know our value. And then you have children and become a mom, and you give. And then you before that, usually you become a wife. Doesn't have to happen in that order, but whatever. But we take on and flip so many hats and roles that each role almost seems to change our perception of our value and take it away from us and make it more about the role we're playing. And I think learning to strip that away too. And like you said, it's with beliefs, and we start to believe what we hear.
Yes, exactly.
So whether it's from others or ourselves.
And I think that's why a lot of women, men don't struggle with this as much, but a lot of women have a hard time showing up. And when I say showing up, I mean really authentically showing up as who they are and saying what they need to say and being unapologetic about it for fear of people judging them. And women are givers and nurturers by nature. And we're taught, like, as young girls, by like, there's research that shows by around 11, 12, young girls actually start to lose their own voice and yield to the world. And it breaks my heart to hear that. And so we actually get socialized to be quiet and not speak about ourselves. And so I think it's extra challenging for women to be okay with really showing up and sharing their gifts, because they're so scared. Like a lot of clients I work with, they're so scared to just even be on camera. They're so scared to talk about their services and their offerings, because they don't want to be seen as selfish or salesy or sleazy. And so what I want to say to these women is, you have gifts to share. It's your birthright to share these gifts. And you can only do that if you really own your value. You own the value of who you are, and you own the value of what you offer in this world. And your value, your self-worth, is inherent, regardless. It's inherent. Your services or your offerings, your products, like, they are not part of your self-worth. Okay? This is your living. In order to really embrace abundance, it's about getting really clear about why you're here on earth. We all have purpose. And actually, we all have the same purpose, but they just come in different flavors. Right? And if we really look at it, this is about the mentality of how can I contribute in the world? What are my gifts, and how can I use my gifts to contribute in the world, and also make a living? And also make a living from this, right? That's abundance, is a give and receive. And so a lot of people, women especially, struggle with pricing their services because they're meshed with their worth. And if they're not feeling worthy, then they undercharge and they're scared. Yeah. So it's a big one. It's a really big one. But if you're not showing up, you're not visible, how are your ideal clients going to really see you? How are they going to hear you? Because your ideal clients, even if there's like 1,000 other people who do what you do, your ideal clients can only hear you. They can only see you. So that's what's really important to know.
Well, and I don't know if Tarah feels the same, but for myself, I've spoken in many situations, many sized groups. And for myself, I find I can get on a stage and empower women or talk to women or tell my story, but I can't sell. I could never stand on a stage and be like, you need to buy my shit because it's good.
Well, don't say it that way. But sales is a whole other beast that we need to take on in a way that aligns with our purpose, aligns with our truth. And I will say, for me, moving from therapist to therapist that sell, which was probably also kind of risky, to coach. Like, there was such a transition, and I definitely struggled with that because I had my own money beliefs. I had my own negative traumatic experiences. I actually shared it on a Facebook Live yesterday on my page about a salesperson bullying my parents. And I was, as a little girl, like 8 years old, witnessing all this. I was in tears. So my idea of a salesperson isn't safe, right? Sales isn't safe. And I had that for a long time. And so when I shifted to knowing that that's just a limiting belief, it's in fact us being in service. When we're tapped into our value, our purpose, our mission, and our gifts, and we're sharing and offering from this place of love. And a lot of heart-driven entrepreneurs have a hard time charging. It's money shame, right? But it's our birthright to be. It should feel like common sense. It feels like common sense to us because this is our gifts, and it's our birthright to live in the law of least effort. Yeah, law of least effort. One of my favorite books is The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by D. And that's And I'm happy to say this feels like I've been really working at law. It sounds like an oxymoron. Trying this law of least effort. But I've been really embracing this and practicing being in this law of least effort. And just flow happens so amazingly when you are actually in this place. Another way to think about this is, can you imagine if more heart-driven, heart-centered people were making the most money in the world? What kind of world would we be living in? a much more joyful, peaceful, loving world, because the vibration of the world would be matching that.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's about valuing where you put your money. It's about valuing and about seeing that you're actually being greater service. You're truly within alignment of your purpose and your gifts to offer to the world.
Well, and I think one of the things that you talked about, Rosalyn, too, is I think you have to be willing to invest into yourself. What you talked about with mentorship and coaching, I think is such a valid point. Like when I started working with my coach, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if I hadn't met her, because my initial plan was not exactly like this. But, and your story, really brings a lot of that out when you talk about getting into alignment, and then the ease and flow comes. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because, it's a thing I come across, is this conversation about when you have contrast and seeing it as fear, or because it's just unknown, and that place that you need to move into, and really recreating those neural pathways so that you can, allow yourself to go that direction instead of creating these subconscious triggers and patterns that keep going, no, I don't want you to do that. Go this other direction.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not safe. It's not safe. Yeah. You want me to speak about the contrast?
Yes. Yes. I'd love to know, like, when it's, as we're talking about, because things come up in life, people get busy, and we're all aiming towards that ease and flow. And I know when you discussed working on yourself and doing that work, that inner work, I don't know, shadow work, if you will, just identifying, I think a lot of entrepreneurs and women that are empathic, sometimes they come across that fear moment, and it's like, is this something that I'm supposed to be doing, or is this something that I should run 50,000 miles away from? But when that contrast keeps showing up, it's I guess just like pointing things out to you, that cosmic 2x4, like, pay attention here.
Yes. Well, I think that's a great question. It's whenever we are evolving and we're stepping into our greater truth, there's always going to be resistance that comes up, because we are leaving our comfort zone into the unknown. And so this part of playing big is knowing that maybe I'll put it this way. Part of playing big is to show up and be bold. Bring your boldest self to your biggest challenges, to your resistance, in a way that's like recognizing, yes, I will experience discomfort, and I'm okay with that, because this will only be short term. And recognizing that taking this step, even though it's really scary, and I can speak from personal experience, retiring as a psychologist and taking the full-on leap of faith into coaching full-time, holy shit, that was the scariest thing I've ever done. Right? Because there's a security blanket with the psychology world. And oh my God, it's just taking that leap was so scary. But I knew, and I believed in my mission so much, I knew that being a coach could allow me to create more deep impacts and influence in the world. And let's face it, income, that this had to be done. Like, it had to be, because I just felt that that's a beautiful word, contrast with thinking logically, thinking I'll just stay in private practice as a therapist and grow this thing on the side. But this thing on the side actually took over, and it gave me more joy. And because I was fully in alignment of how I wanted to show up, I felt held back by the license. I very much respect the professional psychology profession, but for me, it was no longer a fit. It just didn't work for how I want to show up in the world. And so taking that leap, I just had to know in my mind, in my body, in my heart, that this is the next step. There was no turning back. And you just got to do it. And then also recognizing I get really comforted by the thought that every single big time successful person, so think about who you really admire, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Gabrielle Bernstein, these are my people, have failed a million times, right? They've failed. And it's like, okay, well, what is failure? failure is like, there actually isn't such thing as failure. I think the only time you fail is when you don't learn from your situation.
Yeah.
So like if we look at like invented electricity, right? People say, oh, well, they failed 1,000 times. And he's like, no, I had 1,000 times of practice.
Yes.
And that's correct, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a mindset shift, and your fears will sound so logical, logical. I mean, I got held back for like in private practice and from an inner critic for like 6+ months. And finally I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling fulfilled here. I'm feeling more anxious. And at some point it teeters. So I knew that just jumping in here, even though I didn't know what was going to happen, I just trusted myself so much. And I also had a business coach, so that really helps. But I had that I had really no, really like regardless of where, there's no safety net. There isn't. Right? And so it's just really realizing we don't actually ever have any guarantee of a safety net. But what I know that I don't want to do is live in a mediocre life. I don't want to play small. I choose not to. And I choose to play big. I choose to be bold. I choose to be loud. I choose to be visible, even if it scares me.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't scare you. I'm joking.
When I said to her the other day,
I always fear, like, oh my God, as I'm rising up like this. Okay, so I'm so honored that this year in June, I'll be speaking on stage with like an Oprah big person. This opportunity came to me in November when I actually saw a psychic who I have a passive income business as well. And I was there for a conference, and I saw a psychic. The psychic does not know me. I was just like, where should I spend my energies this coming year in 2019? She's like, oh, you and she didn't know what I did. So I just told her, she just said, what's your business name? I said, Rosalyn Fung Coaching. So she has no idea what kind of coach I am. She's like, oh, you definitely need to keep working with the women who will, because you take them from like 0.0 to make big successful corporations. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome, because that's what lights me up. And then I said, what about speaking? Because I haven't spoken since before summer professionally, and I really noticed my soul is missing it. And she's like, oh, yes. So she's just like, yeah, you got to get a speaking agent. So you can speak on much bigger platforms than you are now. And I'm like, really? And then like no word of lie, 2 hours later, I got this call or this message on Facebook from somebody I've never, ever talked to. And she's just like, hey, sis, I see you're up to some really great things. I'm putting on 2 big events. And she named like 3 Oprah big people. And I was like, holy shit, the universe works fast when you are just in alignment. So of course I said yes, right? But my whole point of this is I'm freaking out. Like there's like gonna be like at least
like its name.
Like 6 or 7 figure, 8 figure, possibly just entrepreneurs in that room and like no one I know. And I'm gonna be like we'll say like nobody. I know I'm somebody, but you know, I mean like the small. I'm freaking out, like with excitement, of course, but like, holy shit, you know, things like this. I just believe because when you keep saying yes to yourself, opportunities and doors keep opening up that are in alignment of you playing that bigger game. It's like, here it is. The universe is testing you. Are you ready? Are you ready? And it's like, yeah, I'm ready to play a bigger game. This is what I envisioned. This is what I am literally been dreaming of and I've been working on, and it's here. So
I don't know about you, but I find my biggest obstacle is me.
Always. Yeah, we are always in
yes.
It's ourselves. We get in the way of our own selves.
That's exactly it.
The biggest reason is because like we are scared of rejection. Because if you think about it, like, would you do anything you want if you knew everybody was just going to approve and be like, go on, cheerlead you on? And, you know, if you say your deepest, darkest secrets that you might feel shameful about, you feel really scared to share and the reason why is because somebody's going to judge you. Somebody's going to think bad of you. But if you knew 100%, nobody was going to think bad of you if you were to share this news, we would mostly do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so once you get over the fear of rejection and just you're always going to be judged anyways, then it's game on. And I want to say this. If you are not creating waves, if you're not triggering people in some way, that actually means you're not playing big enough. Because what happens is you become a mirror. It's not actually about you. You become a mirror for the other person, usually unconsciously. Right? And so it's just being able to be a witness. And this does take training and practice. Trust me, like I've had to practice for years. But it takes this observer hat again, this curiosity is like, it's not fascinating that this person's getting triggered about this. About, you know, and knowing full well, as long as I'm in love, I'm in alignment of love, that then, you know, I still look at this as an opportunity to learn about myself, of course, because I want to know, like, if there are any blind spots I'm not seeing, because that's, it's not like I'm right and, you know, this person, it's not about that. But if you know in the depth of your soul, you're just aligned with love and this person gets triggered, and then it's likely not about you. No, it's likely about them and you're being a mirror. So when I got this, this sounds really weird, but when I trigger people, I get really happy because it's an opportunity to learn and grow the relationship, the connection, or just and for them to grow, or for me to look at myself. It's just a good check-in for myself. It's like, oh, okay, let's check that out. Instead of thinking negatively about it, like, oh my God, I did something wrong. Oh my God, you know, like, oh, it's me, and oh, I should apologize profusely. No, you're just being a mirror. But yes, use the opportunity to look at yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, I was actually listening to my coach, and she has like a group, was doing a Facebook Live yesterday, and she was telling a little bit of a story. She had some company with some older ladies over for a visit to her place, and she's very successful, and she literally has created her dream lifestyle, and it's beautiful. And she said the woman was looking around, she goes, you know, I guess I never dreamed big enough. And I was like, wow. And she was, you know, she was telling us all about this, and that's, you know, one of the things that she's always, you know, that's why she's one of my peeps, is like to keep dreaming big. And when you think something that's like crazy big and everyone else is like, no, you can't do that, you know, yes, you can do that. And just, and I think it's that expansion. It's like Einstein, you know, it's just that you have to see it first, I think, before it can even possibly come into fruition. So like,
absolutely.
Expansion. I just love that you were touching on that. So I wanted to say that because it was just synchronistic with the story yesterday. It was like that happy, you know, kind of beautiful moment, that epiphany moment, that aha, like, yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Tarah.
And if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Totally. It means you're still playing safe. You're still playing small.
So on that note, you have a really
don't fall off your chair, Renee.
We're getting really excited here. I love it.
I love desk at the moment. You have a big event coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that, Delicious Divas?
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited about this. So myself and my co-host Melissa Mackey are putting on this epic 2-day event for women, entrepreneurs, leaders, consultants, professionals, change makers, any woman that wants to create impacts in this world. And it's a 2-day immersion where it's going to be building yourself from the foundation. So there's lots of personal growth. I will personally be speaking about self-worth and basically what we talked about today, but on a deeper level. And then also professional growth. So if anybody is a speaker or wants to be a speaker, anybody who has a message, we all have messages, by the way, and you want to learn how to deliver your message or confidently offer your services, because oftentimes we are, like, as a coach and interior designer, right, like a nutritionist, like we are our own like service. It's us, right? How to do that, not just confidently, but be so deeply aligned with your purpose. Because right, so we're going to really tap in deeply. It's an experiential experience too, where it's me talk up here. No, we're going to just like go in and know the power of your vulnerability and lead from that place, because that's really huge. And for us, it's community. This has been all about helping women come together and to be inspired by each other, to share with each other in their vulnerability, to really have that sisterhood, because together we are so much more powerful. When women are lifting each other, there is something so magical about that. And so this is like an urban retreat meets TED Talk, meets conference, meets intentional, purposeful networking.
Love
so
it.
We're excited. We have like 85 women registered. We've got some incredible speakers flying in from California as well as from BC. So these women are going to be awesome with teaching us about how to show up and be a speaker as well as PR. Like I'm really excited to learn from them. So yes, and then Kat, we have 2 cats. So one's going to be speaking about embracing your sensual and sexual power, and the other cat is going to be talking about branding and what that really is, because most people don't know what branding is. They think it's a logo. So, this is a full-on today transformational weekend.
So, and it's in Sherwood Park, am I right?
In Sherwood Park, yes. So, both days run from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Awesome. So for those looking or who are interested in getting tickets, are they still available?
Absolutely. Yes. We would love to have 100 women come. So that would be amazing. So if you're just learning about this now, we'll drop the link in below, and I use the promo code SOULgasm, which is totally my word. It's like having an orgasm or multiple orgasms on your soul. And you'll get a little bit of a special rate there.
Awesome. Also, we will be announcing the winner of a ticket for this event later on this afternoon. So one of our viewers will be winning a pass for the event for the weekend.
Yay! And for Renee's people, I was going to say, for Renee's people, use Renee's code, Renee.
I know. So RENNE.
No, RENEE.
Oh, whoops. I can't believe I just totally batted that.
In the link.
Let's clarify. We need to clarify that. Okay? I'm like RENN. I don't even know how to spell your name.
That's okay. You don't need to. We don't often say each other's names. I got called Echinacea for a long time. All right, Echinene.
Echinene. Yeah.
So, Rosalyn, where can people find you? Where can people get in touch with you? Hiring you as an empowerment coach.
Thank you. So you can follow me on Facebook. It's my professional page is Unleash Your Inner Wonder Woman. You can totally add me on as a personal friend. I do a lot of my Facebook lives on there. So Rosalyn Fung, and there's 2 of me. So just add 2, and then one of them is my assistant. And then you can also find me on Instagram, Wonder Woman Coach.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'd love to have you back again sometime.
I would love to be back.
We wish we could be joining you at the event this weekend. I have children this weekend, and I know Tarah's up to her eyeballs with stuff. So, but next time.
We're going to have another event, and you ladies will be there that time.
That would be great. Good luck with your event.
We can throw that together. That would be fun.
That would be awesome.
Totally.
Thank
you so much. It was wonderful to meet you, Rosalyn. Thank you for sharing all of your wonderful wisdom. And I look forward to finding out who's the winner for the event and hearing all about it after the weekend. So pay attention. It'll be awesome. I'm sorry I'm frozen. I feel so impersonal, but
thank you everybody for watching. We value your time, and
like us, heart us, share us, tell your friends.
Comment, hop over to Rosalyn's pages, and we will see you next Thursday.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.
See you.